Hello, residents. It's that time of year to start thinking about if you'd like to stay on campus next year. We're going to walk you through our contract renewal process and our selection process to learn what that looks like. My name is Stephanie London, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Students for Housing and Residential Life. So let's go ahead and get started talking through that. For the purposes of today, we're going to talk through our contract renewal process for 2024-2025, our housing signups and how that works, and our summer extension contracts. When it comes to contract renewals, here's what you need to know. As a current resident at the Lions Den or Sebastian Commons, you have the opportunity to sign your contracts and pick your space to live on campus next year before any new residents come in. In order to participate in this process, you do have to renew your contract by March 27th, and those are available now on your housing portal. On that contract, you will select if you want to stay in your same room for next year, or you can choose to go through our housing selections, which we'll talk about in a moment. Please know that if you're thinking at all about living on campus next year, we highly recommend that you go through this process and go ahead and sign your contract for next year to secure your spot. If you cancel before June 1st, there is no penalty. So if you change your mind between now and June 1 and you cancel your contract, there is no penalty or fee to you. If you do wait after June 1, you would incur a $200 cancellation fee. After July 1, that goes to $400. And then as of August 1, it does go to our full contract buyout fee of $1,000. But you can cancel before June 1 with no penalty. We recommend this because if you do not go through this process, then you would have to complete a new application for next year, just as any other new resident. And we do assign those spaces based on application submission date. So this is your best bet to get the space that you want for next year. Our housing signups will take place after spring break. You will be put into one or more of our groups to select your space on campus for next year. So as long as you have completed your housing contract by March 27th, you will participate in this process. We do have a couple of special days in March. The first is going to be for returning athletes. If you are a returning athlete coming back next year, you have received an email from housing letting you know that you are eligible for this process. You have a special deadline to complete your contract by March 25th in order to participate in our March 27th day. Returning athletes will have the opportunity to sign up for Sebastian Commons buildings 1 and 2 only on this day. And then on March 29th is our Greek life population. Anyone who receives an email from housing about this would have the opportunity to participate in this day. Greek life signups will only be for Sebastian Commons buildings 7 and 8. Then on April 1st, we have displaced students. This means that if you are contacted by housing to let you know you have been displaced for the fall, meaning your current room is not going to be available to you for the fall, then you will be in this group and you get a little bit of an advanced opportunity to select your space before the bulk of people come in. Then the majority of folks will end up selecting their spaces on April 2nd and 3rd. On April 2nd is our same facility day. So what that means is that if you currently live at the Lions Den and you plan to live at the Lions Den next year, this is your day. It's also your day if you live at Sebastian Commons and plan to live at Sebastian Commons next year. So that means you'll be selecting rooms from the same facility in which you currently live. Then on April 3rd, if you live in a facility that you're planning to not live in next year, so let's say that you live in the Lions Den and you'd like to move to Sebastian Commons next year, or vice versa, your day will be April 3rd because you will be selecting a different facility. Then, if for some reason you missed one of the days that you were assigned prior, you will have the opportunity to go ahead and select your room on April 4th during our early signups final day. We will allow for late contracts of current residents to be signed March 28th through noon on April 4th. If you end up falling into that category, then you will get to sign up for your room on our final day during our late contract renewals day. On your day, here's what you should expect. Again, you may be in one or more of those processes. We encourage you to try to get in to the earliest process because that's going to give you more options. However, let's say you're an athlete who doesn't want to live in buildings 1 and 2. You may want to wait until the next available day for you to sign up. So it's based on your preferences. The evening prior to your process, you will have access to go into our housing portal and look at available spaces. You can search based on different filters as far as floor types, um, sinks and bedrooms, etc. And then you can kind of start making a list of the places that you'd like to live. On the day of, you will be able to log into your housing portal starting at 7 a.m. and start selecting your room for next year. You will have until 3 p.m. to make that selection or changes. If for some reason you don't get your exact space that you're wanting for next year during this process, you can always email housing and let us know. We will be happy to put you on a wait list for your particular room type, whether that is a particular type of room, such as a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or it's wanting hardwood floor. We can do that either way. Please know that on each of these days, the housing office will be open at 7 a.m. for assistance. You're going to probably get the best assistance if you come in or call us, but we will be checking our emails. And then again, any special requests or issues can also go to our housing email. Now, we want to cover a few frequently asked questions that we get through this process. And the first and probably biggest one is roommates. So there's a couple different aspects here. The first is if you are planning to live with people who are current residents and are going to go through this process as well, the best bet for you is to work with those potential roommates to figure out what types of space you want and work together for that process. However, on the day of your sign up, you are only signing up for you, which means that you need to be in close communication with those other potential roommates to let them know what room you selected. And that way you all can select the appropriate rooms. If for some reason you are not able to find a space altogether, you can contact housing and we will do our best to work through those issues with you and try to accommodate. If you plan to have a roommate who is not a current resident and who is planning to move in the fall, they need to have completed a new fall 2024 housing application. They need to make sure they list you as a roommate on that application. And then you can also email housing and let us know that you'd like them as a roommate. And we'll go ahead and put that as a request that you have. Because they are coming in the fall, we cannot guarantee that you would be their roommate and vice versa. But it is important if you can help us let them know if they have not completed their application, that the sooner they do so, the better, because we do assign open spaces based on application submission date. It's important that they get their application in earlier rather than later, because we do have to give available spaces to those who come first. And so that would be helpful if you can help communicate that. But this is not their process. Their process will come later. The third is married and accommodations. So if you are interested in or currently living in married housing, your process will look a little different. If you are currently living in married housing, then what will happen is your resident director will be reaching out to you prior to signups week if you've completed a contract, and will work with you one-on-one on what your space looks like for next fall. If you are not currently in married housing but living on campus and wanting married housing, please contact housing and let us know so we can kind of work with you on what those next steps look like. The second piece of that is if you have a special accommodation from our Student Disability Services office that affects your room type. So ESAs, for example, would not be something that affects your room type, but someone may have an accommodation for a specific room type. If that's the case, then again, housing will be reaching out to you more one-on-one prior to sign-ups week to work through those accommodations with you. The fourth thing I have on here is flooring, first floor, and more. So what I mean by that is that oftentimes we have preferences of things that we want for our space where we live. We totally understand that, but also know that it's not always available, especially at Sebastian Commons, where there's lots of different types of floor plans as well as amenities. So if you end up on your day not getting what you want, which please know you can filter by all these things in the search, But if you end up not getting your first choice, for example, one of the most common is probably flooring. We do have carpeted floors and hardwood floors. A lot of people really like hardwood floors, but they're not all available all the time. So if you, for example, get a carpeted room, but you really want hardwood floors, we would recommend you go ahead and pick that carpeted room, a room that you would be happy with, if you were to get it. And then let us know that you would like hardwood floors. What we will do is put you on a wait list for that style of room. And that way, as we have cancellations that happen, which will happen throughout the summer, we will kind of work through those accommodations based on that. Finally is covered parking. If you're going to live at Sebastian Commons next year, we do have the option for covered parking at an additional rate. If you're thinking you want covered parking, please make sure that you select yes to wanting covered parking on your contract. If you do that, then you will receive more information as we get into April about how that process will work. But we do plan to allow for residents to select their covered parking spaces for next year. And as a current resident, you would have the first option to do so. If you are thinking about living on campus this summer, we do have a couple options. First, if you are a current Sebastian Commons resident who signed an Academic Plus contract, that is a 12-month contract and you are good to go. If you are not sure, you can always ask housing and we can look that up for you. Our regular academic contract for everyone living at the Lions Den and those who selected that at Sebastian Commons is a 9-month contract. But you can submit a summer 2024 extension contract to extend your current contract through the summer. You can do that on your housing portal. If you do that, please know that all summer residents will stay at Sebastian Commons as we do have camps that come into the Lions Den for summer. We do our best to try to put you in your fall room in the summer. We do often have a lot of Lions Den people moving to Sebastian Commons. So we do try to work through and make sure that people can get into their fall space in the summer, if that is at all possible, because it reduces the amount of times that you have to move. Sometimes that is not available for everyone just based on different things, but that is our goal. So please know that if you do extend your contract through the summer, when we start sending out emails about spring move out, your process will look a little different. You will not move out through that same process, but you will stay in your current room at the Lions Den or your current room at Sebastian Commons until you hear from us. We will contact you once your new room is ready. Remember, we do have to get through our move outs. We have to clean those spaces. And then we will let you know once those spaces are clean so that you can move into a clean space. When we do contact you to do so, we do ask that you do that on a timely manner and we give you a deadline to get moved in. The reason for that is that we do often have to clean your space you're moving out of for someone else. And so we do want to make sure that that is all done in a timely manner. Please just know that we are here to help. We do have a dedicated housing team here and ready to answer questions, as well as our student staff that we have. You're also at any point able to email housing@ufs.edu for questions. You can call our housing office at 479-788-7340. Also, to get started with your contract, you can visit our housing portal. The short link is tinyurl.com/UAFS housing, or you can go to uafs.edu, navigate to our housing website, and click on the apply button. We hope that you choose to live on campus next year, and please feel free to reach out with any questions you may have.